Well, welcome back to Fut-Afrique. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. The trivia question that I asked you at the beginning of the show, let me remind you, Iqraam Rayners scored a goal against Zimbabwe. It was scored within 30 seconds, and that seems to be the quickest goal to be scored within Bafana colours. But before this current record, there was one that was held by someone else previously. Who is it? He is South African, but we want to know who is he and what was the time. I'm not going to give you the answer now, Jess. I think we should give it to them after this conversation.
I'm happy with that.
Because ladies first.
Yes.
Feminine matters first.
Feminine touches first.
Yes, let's do that first. Let's talk about constantly encouraging players to go abroad and them not knowing what actually is on the other side of the good and the bad, because there is an ugly.
Yes, there is. And I love that you brought this question, because a lot of people are not, they don't have the information to know that sometimes it's a little bit challenging for the players to go outside. We're always encouraging and saying, this player is so good, why are they not playing overseas? And I know a couple of players who've received offers from overseas, but, opted to stay at home because it's closer to home. They probably love the style of play that we have here. And, with any challenges that you can face, you know that you've got friends and family around you. Going overseas, most of the time, it's a financial push more than anything else, and also just getting the international exposure.
That financial push also exposes how women's football is not a professional sport, because we say financial push and we're thinking maybe 50,000. Sometimes it's way less than that.
Sometimes it's way less. And you speak about professionalizing the sport. If that had to happen, we'd obviously have players getting a minimum wage, which is something that could afford them a car and a proper apartment to stay in, which will basically give us a little bit of competition within the league itself. But the reason why people gravitate to a specific team and top players gravitate to a specific team is because of that financial gap. Therefore, other players see the need to probably go, play overseas for that little bit of extra income. But speaking about the challenges as well, the language barrier. If you go and move to Spain and you move to Mexico or Brazil, whatever the case may be, their primary language is not English. They probably speak in Spanish, in Italian, and then you have to adapt.
When you get
that side, the coach is speaking in a language that you don't understand. So sometimes even just getting the training session correct is a little bit challenging for you, because you don't really get, to understand what the coach is really saying. Communicating with your teammates on the football field, how we shout, for different passes, move there, but you're not understanding what they're saying. So that could be a big challenge. You need to, stay a while in order for you to adapt to that. Culture, it's a different culture shock, food, now there's no mukhodu there. You're going to have to change your diet completely, and your body might go into shock because you're not used to, the certain nutrients that you get at home you don't get. And, the racism, we can be honest about it, it's not something that is new to the football industry. We see it happening on an international space. Those are some of the challenges that you face. You are not a preferred player by your teammates on field. If you listen to Andisiwe Mgcoyi, she speaks very well about her experience overseas with regards to being sidelined because she was that great. How do you come from Africa and become a top goal scorer? So some teams do have that. So it's a lot of challenges that players do face that people just need to know before we actually send them overseas.
Yeah, and before we actually send you overseas, you also need the proper documentation. So from grassroots level, let's get our kids the passports.
Shoo. You know what? That's very important. I get to because I have been in situations where I've seen kids drop out of a tournament like Engine Cup or VW, one of these mini domestic tournaments because they didn't have a passport, they're missing out on opportunities. There's a tournament that's played in Sochini where kids actually go overseas to Spain, and some had to drop out because of the passport issue.
Yeah.
So I think the administration definitely needs to be leveled up in order for our kids to know that passport is essential documentation to have.
Yeah, and you know what?
At any age.
As much as at school they make you your ID, help you get your ID, maybe let's do the ID and the passports. Right.
Yeah, to equip them.
Yeah, no, Minister of Education, let's have a conversation, you and I.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we can implement into the future. But as we know that the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup, a competition established back in the year 2008, happens every single 2 years. We're currently within the qualifying stages because Africa will only have 3 representatives, even though currently 6 nations are competing for only those those 3 spots?
It's a tough one, hey?
It is.
3 spots.
It
We
is.
hope to see in future the expansion of basically that, getting another slot. So maybe, you know, our girls can also get it. We miss Bo Olweni and Bo Karabo Dlamini, you know, the young ones. But speaking of that, I want to talk about the match between Burundi and Kenya. And I'm super excited for them because either of them winning this would basically be debutantes.
Yeah, they will be saying to the world, hello, there's a place in Africa called Burundi.
And we are here. However, I think
Kenya.
Kenya definitely sits in a better advantage. You know, they walked away with a 3-0 scoreline, putting them in at an advantage. And this was an away game. So, you know, the advantages of playing at home. For me, they stand out to be one team between those 2 matches, between the 2 of them to actually advance to the next round.
Yeah. Morocco, them hosting 2025. Let me know how important it is for them to bounce back now and qualify.
Goes without saying, hosting means you definitely need to be sitting up there, you know. It's very important for them. However, the challenge might be facing Zambia, which is a team that's done predominantly very well. And their last feature was all the way in 2014. So they want this as bad as Morocco actually does. So survival of the fittest there.
Survival of the fittest. Everyone wants it, but it's anyone's game, right? Let's answer that trivia question that I asked you at the beginning. Thank you for sending through your answers. Some were wrong, some were right. Someone said Mukwena, who plays for Sundowns now. And I don't know. Nalanta Pisa.
At least they tried.
So, no, but just Mukwena, no. Isn't Mukwena like 26, 25?
So let's give the answer first and what year, so then people can catch on to what we're saying. So the correct answer is 42 Seconds by Teboho Mukwena, and this was in 2003 against Burundi. So goes to what you're saying.
The Mukwena is correct. The name is actually correct.
Yes.
It's just which one are you talking about, not the Sundowns one.
It's A for effort, not the E for effort.
It is A for effort. 45 seconds, we're now down to 30 seconds. Hopefully, we'll be getting it 3 seconds.
42 seconds.
42 seconds. Okay, 42 seconds, now down to 30 seconds. Maybe I should push it down to 20. The 3 is too far-fetched.
Yeah.
Maybe let's go down to 20 first.
I agree.
But congratulations for you, if you got it right. We're not waiting. I'm not going to drag you. I want to put your handle here, but we're not going to do that. And just like that, that's how we're going to leave the conversations on Fut-Afrique this week. But you know, we continue them on the socials, so don't go anywhere. Well, viewers at home, that's the end of another exciting episode of Fut-Afrique. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and thank you so much for interacting with the trivia question. It's okay if you didn't get it right. You always have an opportunity to do so next week. Let's do it again, as I said, next week. Until then, au revoir.